the natural world around us has been here for a very, very long time, successfully and evolving in beautiful ways, transforming in beautiful ways. And so this work, I like to think of it sometimes as a, uh, the biomimicry of transformation. If we would only stop long enough to turn towards this, what might be the wild world, hopefully, if there's not a lot of wild left, but there are wilder places. If we go out there and quiet ourselves and bring ourselves to
Mm.
the that exists so naturally, there is so much that we can learn about ourselves, about our authenticity, about what might need or want to change inside of us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Love, Loss, and Hallucinations. I know every week I say I'm excited for this guest or this guest is awesome, but this guest this week, I think besides my wife, no offense to any of you other people out there who are my guests, but this person is very special to me. So I'm very excited to have her on the podcast. It is my pleasure to welcome Jade Sherer to the podcast. Jade, for more than 20 years, has guided people in nature-based transformational processes and ceremonies. She has been a mentor to hundreds of people, probably thousands at this point, as they tune into what is next in their lives and how they might bring their integrity and authentic genius alive in the world. This includes people of all types around the world, from students to CEOs. It also includes me, and we will definitely be talking about that. So, excited to get into the details of that a little bit. She received her training through Animas Valley Institute, where she also guided for 15 years. She's also been trained with, back in the day, Stephen Foster and Meredith Little at School of Lost Borders, as well as Martin Prachtel. She has just been declared free of ovarian cancer, which she has been in a constant struggle with since the fall of 2019. And she's joining us from Prescott, Arizona, where she lives with her dog, Ubuntu?
Ubuntu, yes.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Jade. I'm just always happy to see your face. So
Thank you so much, Scott. What a sweet intro. It's really nice to hear that. And it's great to be here. Yeah. Curious what we'll talk about.
Yeah, me too. Well, I think, just to start, there's probably not everyone is, many people, I should say, probably are not familiar with nature-based transformational work or guiding it or that sort of thing. So maybe if you could, we can just start with that, since that's how we met. And, what drew you to it? What does it involve? All those sorts of fun things, just to get the basis down.
Yeah. Well, it's a big topic. Let me see if I can put a baseline down there. But by the way, how many years ago was that you came in when I
I
first met you?
mean, that was, we first met when I went to do a vision quest through Animas Valley Institute, and yourself and Peter Scanlon were my wonderful guides, and that was 2004. So maybe right about when you were kind of starting with Animas, I think. A
Wow.
year in, maybe, something like that. So
Wow.
yeah.
1 year ago. Goodness. Wow. Amazing. Amazing how these things unfold. So nature based, I always try to play with different ways of explaining what this work is and putting words
Mm,
around it. But the idea from this is how I feel about it, is that uh, the natural world around us, all the plant beings, the rock beings, the animals, all of it, the weather has been here for a very, very long time, successfully and evolving in beautiful ways, transforming in beautiful ways. And so this work, I like to think of it sometimes as a, uh, the biomimicry of transformation. If we would only stop long enough to turn towards this, what might be the wild world, hopefully, if there's not a lot of wild left, but there are wilder places. If we go out there and quiet ourselves and bring ourselves to
mm,
the that exists so naturally, there is so much that we can learn about ourselves, about our authenticity, about what might need or want to change inside of us. And we come into contact with a world that is absolutely authentic. There's no tree or bush or squirrel out there that's trying to be something other than what it is naturally.
Right.
Wonderful mirror of authenticity, of who we genuinely are, what our genuine genius is. And I think it's the deepest and oldest teacher that we have of how
Mm,
to real human being, how to be true to ourselves, how to be, you know, give our give our gifts forward and come into presence with who we are authentically. I don't think any of us would deny that, all of us humans, we're broken in some ways. We're wounded. We've been
hmm
harmed. We aren't always in touch with ourselves, so it's hard in a human-centered place to get a clear view of who we are really as souls, as our genuine selves.
mm.
So that's sort of the platform of why we do it in nature, and man, so much is involved with. Then I would widen it actually to the mystery, the whole mystery within this cosmos that we live in, and how
Right.
much is there for us and how much we can learn from it if we just stop our
Just stop. Yeah.
racing around in the human world, in the technological world, and really listen deeply to ourselves inside of that
Yeah.
bigger
It
mysterious place.
it's so hard to really tap into that whatever is deeper within you, what given all the chaos that we live in, whether it's technological or just, going to work every day and having families and making a living and paying the bills, and to go out into nature, into the woods, and allow yourself just, as you said, like this see yourself reflected in this unbiased
Mm,
mirror, whether it's a tree or a rock or an animal, and just listen to what it might be saying to you is a very different um, it's a very different experience even than say sitting on a meditation cushion and seeing what comes to you that way. And I know, from my own experience when I first went to do a vision quest and I wasn't fully aware of everything that it entailed beyond like it was some sort of rite of passage. And, you know, rites of passage have been in cultures since time immemorial. We don't really have them so much anymore. But, getting your license or being able to drink alcohol isn't really a great rite of passage. Um, but yeah, so I was going to say that going out and like the first thing you guys had us do was to like go out onto the land. This is before we really got into the Vision Quest, and like find something in nature and talk to it. And I ended up talking to this uh juniper tree, I think it was. And I was like, what am I doing? And my head was it was a big fight. I'll tell you what, but I have since, the defenses have come down and I find it very valuable to do that. I mean, is that sort of a common experience for people who come to Vision Quest and that's like one of the first things that you ask them to do? And they're just like, what? That's
yeah,
too woo woo. I can't do that.
yeah, totally. Totally, Scott. That's so common. And I think even, for someone who's been doing it for 25 years, like I have or more, it sometimes is still uncomfortable. But the truth is that, we all have ancestors that go way, way back to times when that was absolutely the most natural thing in the world. And it was where
Mm,
they gained so much information about how to proceed in their lives and how to survive. And they were in, I call these, it's animism. Yeah. It's actually
right.
something that people know about, are beginning to know about now, even though it has roots in our history that go way back of like, yes, there is soul or consciousness or wisdom, or whatever word you might put on it, in every other thing. We aren't the only beings here with wisdom, and I kind of question our wisdom sometimes.
I think we
Yeah.
all do. Yes.
So, yeah, it's super common to go, gosh, I feel really awkward here. But the more that you do it, I think the more it becomes a fluent conversation that goes
Hmm.
back between the
Yeah.
human and the
And
other
and
than
what
human.
brought you to that work? Like, what drew you to want to even do it and guide others in that way?
Yeah, that's such a great and important question, and kind of a mysterious one, because one of the things that has come forward for me in the last year in the cancer journey I've been on is that really getting quite profoundly that there's something larger that's a part of my life. It's
Mm.
not just me and my willfulness. That has been the way that I have lived my life. And I did have a dad that really loved nature and introduced us to nature in
Mm.
beautiful ways when we were really young. And um, and he also was someone who cared about the transformational world, but I had never heard of a vision quest or being a nature guide or any of that. But I was at a moment in time in my life when I really started saying, hey, I don't want to just work for people that are guiding other people, because I happened to work for some people that were doing different kinds of transformational work. I want to do what I really love. And so I did a program with Animas Valley, and everyone I met, I just was like, oh, these are my people. This is the world I need to be living in. They're people that love the earth, that trust the wisdom that's there. And I'm just completely drawn to it. So
Mm.
I feel like there were parts of my life that were drawn to it, but I also feel like there was some greater other that was pushing me along the way, that guided me right into the arms of this work.
Mm. Well, and it's such important deep work, and we often refer to it as soul work. That's another term for it. And um, getting in touch with like your deeper, uh, as we sort of said in your intro, like gift that you have to give the world, your authentic gift. And there's other ways to do it. You don't have to necessarily do the full vision quest to like get to these places, although you can definitely get deeper on a vision quest, which, for those out there who aren't aware, in this particular setting, it's basically 4 days fasting, 3.5 days out in the wilderness by yourself. And um and you can sort of research that if you're more interested in it. But I'm wondering, it is not, as a guide, you are not like living the high life, making a ton of money, and so you definitely have to love it to do it. So what is it that you love about doing it?
Thank you so much for that. Thanks for seeing the fact that it's not living the high life, the big, that's for sure. Um, but for me, it has been a place of such richness. So I'm
Mm.
rich in many other ways. It may not be with the green back, but um, not only do I get to be in beautiful places in nature, that's just kind of a bonus, but also the quality of the people that come to my programs. I'm not guiding Vision Quest so much anymore, but I am continuing to guide other programs that are from that foundation. And the people are amazing. But really, the biggest thing I think is it feels like it's, the amount of growth and perspective that I get.
Mm.
And inside of this territory of transformation, and the honor of getting to watch people move through their own wounds, their own beauty, their own vulnerability, their fear. It's an amazing thing to get to walk with people, whether it's actually out there, or I also do one-on-one mentoring, so getting to hear people's dreams. It's just like
Mm.
it it takes me deeper into my life personally, but it also, I just feel more and more sort of enveloped by the wonder of mystery. And it sounds a
Mm.
little crazy, but I'm telling you, it's like dreams and the mystery of what goes on in our cosmos. It's amazing if we actually give ourselves over to it. That there is a mystery we're immersed in. And if we would pay attention to that, I'm speaking from experience because the things that have gone on in my cancer journey most
Mm.
recently show me that there is some divine, amazing, synchronistic. I don't even have great words for it, but there's a mystery that I have been enveloped in, and that we're each enveloped in. That if we pay attention, we often find that we are guided and here on purpose, and we're supported
Mm.
in being here on purpose and in
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, and I'm definitely want to get to the cancer journey and some of the mystery aspects of that. There's a lot in your answer there that I want to touch on, so it's hard to like decide which way to go here. But is there an example you could give that comes to mind, without naming any names, of a person who you guided out in the wilderness, and a realization that they had that helped them, but also that you were like, oh wow, like I hadn't even realized that for myself.
Yeah, what a big question again. You're full of these huge questions, Scott.
That's what I'm here
It,
for.
I like it. I like reflecting on this. The first thing that pops up for me, it takes me way back to when I
Mm,
was a young new guide. And actually, at that time, I was working with Animas Valley, and we were taking young adults out,
mm,
which I don't they do anymore, and I don't do anymore. But and I can't give you the particulars of what it was that they brought back, but there were these two young men. One was from Australia, and they went out. My co-guide was another younger than me woman, and we had a beautiful group of 17 to 21-year-olds. And there was this dyad. They go out in dyads, even though then they, as you know, Scott, separate into solo places. But these two young men came back, and after people come back from their solo time, we get to hear a little smidgen of their story, as you know. And this one young man in particular, he sat down. Even the way they came back into base camp, I could see
mm.
that had profoundly changed in the way they carried themselves, in the way they interacted. And one in particular sat down to tell his story. And my co-guide and I were within like a minute or two sobbing. Like, this is what
Wow.
I can't tell you what he was saying, but the transmission that had clearly come from being in wild nature alone in this kind of intentional state of being, the transmission that he brought forward. I'm getting chills right now just thinking of this. And this
Oh.
was like 20 years ago. He brought his own wild nature forward
Mm,
in a way. I don't know how the heck he did it. It wasn't really so much about the words. As you can tell, it's still here. It's an energetic. Um, I keep going back to that word transmission. He brought something back with him that is. I happen to know he is guiding quests and working with young people now
wow.
in Australia. And
What a beautiful
so
thing.
I mean, there are many of them, but that one stays with me because we could barely offer a mirror to him because we were crying so hard through the whole thing.
Wow.
It was raw, it was compassionate, it was vulnerable, it was an incredible gift to all of us to get to see and feel what he brought back.
Yeah, and for you then, was it just an extra deep, powerful reflection of the importance of this work and the power of it?
For
Yeah.
sure that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was, as I said, very young in guiding then. And so it was eye-opening for me to go, oh, this is what's possible, you
This is
know?
real. Yeah.
And I don't know whether it has to do with because they were much younger, that it has its own trials. Some young people are just not mature enough to do this, but I wonder between you and me and our audience whether it had there was benefit to them being younger. They weren't so
Mm,
entrenched patterning that comes with a life of living another way, you know.
hmm. Um, yeah, I they haven't quite been nailed to the wall as some of us. That's maybe not. That might be a little
Uh-oh.
harsh term for it, but I can definitely relate to that young man coming back and feeling transformed. I mean, I had a very similar experience. I don't know if it hit you as hard in that one as it hit that guy did, but it was big. Um, and someday my memoir will get out there and people can read all about it then without getting too into it now. But so many people probably listening to this uh might think that, listening to the earth or animals or plants for guidance is unusual or woo woo. It's not something our culture really like affirms. But what do you find, the people who come to your programs and open themselves up to this type of guidance? What do you find like they get from it? And obviously, many people get different things, but is there a general like deepening?
W From the whole experience, you mean?
Yeah, from the experience, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
oh, yeah.
I I would say, almost categorically, yes, people get a lot out of it, sometimes in surprising ways. Sometimes people that I didn't know were really receiving something, they go home and they realize later that something really shifted for them.
Mhm,
Uh, the challenge becomes, in from what I've witnessed, uh, is putting it into action. That's always
mm,
the hardest part of any experience, right? Is what we might call reincorporation. It's like, okay, how do I embody what I just
right.
experienced out there? You know something about that. And, um, not just Vision Quest, but that's sort of the power packed version. But
Mhm,
in any kind of an experience where you go to take a look at yourself, it's like, okay, can I sustain that when I return to my life? Can I remember? Can I continue to do the work necessary? And in the case of nature-based work, can I will I continue my relationship that I just ignited by being out in the wild, by continuing to be in those conversations with the natural world
mhm.
and interact in that way.
Yeah, absolutely, whether it's any of these types of journeys, or intensive or retreats. And I've done a number of retreats with Jade, of
Oh,
different types. And yeah, it is a challenge when you come back. You're all excited when you first leave. You're like, oh, this is never going to leave. I'm doing this. I'm 100% in. And man, it's going to be amazing. And then, the world just comes seeping back in, reality comes back in. It can definitely, and almost always within 2 or 3 days when you come back, it's just like something hits you and you're like, oh shit, how do I deal with this now? Can I go back to can I go back to the forest, please?
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a matter of like having resources, or a regular practice, getting into a regular practice, whether it's meditation or journaling or going on hikes in the woods or, you know, putting down your phone for one day a week and allowing yourself to reconnect, are just some of the tips I've found helpful. But, you know, I want to get back to something you were saying earlier about dreams and dream work. And, that's another powerful uh, uh, doorway to this work and to going deeper, especially on these retreats. And there's a bunch of different types of dream work out there. So I'm wondering if you could just speak to a little bit of your approach and how you come at dreams.
The longer I've been with dreams in my life and with others, the more I realize that, well, like you said, there's a million different ways to approach them, but any approach is better than no approach. It's like, if we can imagine that our dream is a being, then even if we were to take the time to write it down or to tell the dream to someone else, maybe as simple as that is, we begin to build a relationship that then may make us more fluent in that language. But let me also say, well, in addition to that, like I know of and have been witness to some more land-based people, indigenous type people, who they were completely, in some cases, guided by their dreams
Mm,
in their communities and in their tribal ways. I was in the with the Tarahumara people, and we didn't speak their language, they didn't speak ours, but they would ask us, "Vidi Mudi," what did you dream? Like they wanted to hear our dreams, and we would hear theirs, even though we couldn't understand them quite
mm,
literally. But there was something their trust and belief in dreams by way of asking us that was really important for me to witness and go, wow, people really do
yeah.
include dreams in their lives in quite powerful and foundational ways. And so to go back to your specific question about how to work with them, I mean, the first thing is to hear a person speak the dream again as if they're in the dream. So what we're doing is
Hmm.
inviting both the listener and the dreamer to step back into the dream as if the dream is going to massage you. It's going to have its way with you. So if we can re-enter the territory and allow the dreamer to remember it again and be moved by it and changed by it, sometimes just that does so much.
Mm,
And some go deeper into working with different parts of the dream, or having them go out on the land with a part of the dream. So there's all kinds of different ways you can go deeper in, but dreams are pretty amazing. And especially I always pay attention if there's a recurring dream, like
mm.
especially if you recurring childhood dream. I don't have proof, but I'm very curious about how that's connected with our soul story. I know for myself and some of the recurring childhood dreams I've heard, sometimes it's very connected. So it's greatly, beautifully, fantastically mysterious
It
and
is.
powerful.
Yeah, and I know, another part of it is, going into the dream and sort of in a meditative state, and whether it's doing it for yourself or having someone guide you through it, where, you're having conversations with the beings in the dreams, whether they're, again, animals or people or whatever. And just one quick story of, a powerful dream experience I had. I don't even think you know about this one, but maybe you do. I think we talked about it. But I was actually at a retreat. Jade was not guiding this, and I had this big, powerful dream. And you always have bigger dreams around these retreats and these, vision fasts and that sort of thing. But the dream was I'm here in my office, this one where I'm recording, where we are recording this, and it's really foggy outside. And this like shadowy figure comes up to the window, and he's like, "Scott, the dogs need your help. The dogs need your help." Like he's pounding on the window, and it wakes me up. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. And so I take it to the circle in the morning, and we talk about it, and I go out onto the land, and I go and talk to the guy who showed up in this. I meditate, and I'm sort of in the dream talking to the guy who showed up, and I talk to each of the dogs that we had at that time. And it's sort of like what they represent to me and all of these sorts of things. And then when I come back from uh being out on the land, they're like, "Oh, Scott, you know, the guide needs to see you, wants to see you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Your wife called." And I'm like, "That's odd because you don't get a lot of phone calls when you're on these retreats. You're supposed to be like incommunicado unless it's an emergency." So obviously antenna went up. And I go over there, and she's like, "Oh yeah, your wife called. Uh your older dog, Dipsy, he's had a heart attack, and they're not sure if he's going to make it." So, I mean, there's the symbolic dream stuff, and then there's often sometimes something more serious and real is going on in that level, as you said, like an energetic connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that, Scott.
Mhm.
So amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And I
if
think a lot of people do dream work the more they sort of wake up to, like, I have to pay attention to this one. Yours was an immediate, there's attention necessary right now. But somebody just emailed me a couple days ago and I said, I had this dream. I needed to have a talk with you. So I think we begin to notice,
Yeah.
when they're at sort of a different feeling or energetic to a dream. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, did you know was there any part of you that felt like that was a different dream than what I normally have and I need to pay attention in a different way?
I definitely woke me up, and most dreams, don't wake me up in that way. So it
Right.
was big enough on that level that I was like, whoa, what was that? And as I said, always when you're sort of out sleeping on the land and in these retreats, dreams seem to
Right.
be bigger anyway. But yeah. And um, speaking of dreams, another reason why I wanted to go down this avenue is to get to your very powerful dream that sort of led into your own medical journey. Would love if you're open to sharing that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just before I go there, I want to also say that, some people say, well, all I remember is that there was wallpaper with fish on it. There's some little tiny detail that they think is nothing. And I've watched over and over again people, when somebody is able to work with them on a dream, it's like amazing things come out of dreams, even if you think it means nothing. So,
Mm,
to the pay attention to your dreams, even if
good
you
point.
think it means so. But
Yeah.
thank you for that other question. Yeah, so in October of 2019, had I was just back from guiding a vision quest in Montana, and the crazy vision quest. We were in grizzly country, which I don't like to do. We had snow the first couple days, and anyway, I came back, and often, just a note that when I guide vision quests or any programs, I usually do my own work as I'm guiding. In
Mm,
other words, I some of the big ceremonies, like letting go of what has been in order to move towards what's next. You might have remembered that at the creek
hmm.
side. And, um, so I'm saying that just because for some reason I was carrying that energy, I think. I went to bed that night after just flying in, and in the morning, early hours of the morning, I had a dream that, without saying the whole dream, it was basically someone was holding up an X-ray. The person in the dream happened to be a soul guide. It was on a long, lonely 2-lane highway, and um, couple things happened, but the end of the dream is, you need to see the doctor today. That's
Mm,
what this friend dream, this guide is telling me. You need to see the doctor today. And I woke up and I had my hands on my lower belly, and I could suddenly, for the first time, feel that there were some masses in there that I had not been aware of,
mm.
which is strange because I'm pretty body centered and most times would notice that. So at any rate, there was something about the dream and the fact that I could feel something that made me say, okay, I need to take this really seriously. And I didn't get to see the doctor that day, but I went the next day, and things started to unfold very quickly, um, into being diagnosed with uh, ovarian cancer stage 1B, which is really rare because
Mm.
most ovarian cancer is called the silent killer and has all these terrible name labels put on it, a lot because it often doesn't have any symptoms until it's at a late stage,
Oh.
and then it pretty can be deadly for many. But so I to this day was like, thank you, dream maker, because without that dream, I'm not sure that how long it would have taken me to go to a doctor and to find this out. And then, so it's been 6 years since then.
Don't
And in the
freeze.
last year, I did it all naturally until a year ago. And then I ended up doing chemotherapy. And the dreams have, especially in the last year, have really been steady and strong in terms of mirroring me, in
Mm,
terms of encouragement. It's like, oh, and it sort of, I won't say concluded, but the last big one was after my fifth session of chemotherapy, and I had another very big dream
mm,
where there was actually voice at the end. It was with two mountain lions and an initiatory kind of ceremonial situation in the dream. And in the end of the dream, a male voice said, "You have been initiated." And
wow.
I woke up from the dream, and it was so helpful because that kind of thing, to know that I'm being attended, that I'm doing this on for some greater purpose than just simply my physical life, gave me strength to go on.
Mm,
It's like, okay,
yeah.
we can keep going. I'm doing this on purpose too, as
Yeah.
much as one can do it, the journey on purpose. So been
Well, and
amazing.
I mean, totally amazing. And one thing that stood out to me that I want to reflect back is, in that initial first dream, and you're on this long, and maybe you've already realized this yourself, but you're on this long 2-lane desolate highway, it sounds like. And I mean, that, from watching from afar, this whole cancer journey of yours seems very symbolic and apropos because, not that you don't have people and friends around you, but living on your own and taking this alternative route that is, most people do not
Oh,
take. And,
um,
and it's just wonderful that you have since been initiated into, uh, I don't know, do you know what you've been initiated into?
oh, well, first, thank you for what you said and the long, lonely highway piece. Thank you for
Hmm.
seeing that. Um, well, it's interesting that you asked that about initiation because yesterday I had a conversation with a person that I have guided with and guided, and she's a mythologist, and we've
Mm,
been talking about possibly offering something around initiation. And I feel like that word is often misused and misunderstood very widely. And so I'm cautious around even trying to answer your question and even saying that dream out loud, I'm like, yeah, because, because I feel like people use it in ways that maybe don't support the hugeness of what is required in an initiation or what's
mm.
demanded in an initiation. It's not like something you do for fun. It's like that's another thing we learned in this journey of the whole idea of the underworld, which is what we also talk about in Vision Quests. And my understanding of it now is very different than maybe the way I may have misportrayed it as
Mm.
a younger guide.
Well,
Um,
and if I may interrupt right there, I want to touch on that point because I know previous to your cancer journey, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had sort of apprenticed yourself to death. Is that an accurate
mhm.
description? And maybe you can describe kind of how that came to be and why. Um, I guess we can start there, and then you know, have some additional
Yeah.
questions around that and how that has changed since your cancer journey.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much here. Let me see if I can a little succinct. Um, yeah, so when I was apprenticing, learning how to be a Vision Quest guide, I one of the ceremonies that we suggest people do on a Vision Quest is called a death lodge. I'm saying this to the audience because Scott knows these most of these things very
I
well
have
by
done a
personal
death lodge a couple times, yes.
experience. And I got to have a very embodied, real experience of the power of the Death Lodge experience or ceremony. Because a month after doing my own Death Lodge as part of my apprenticing, I went out as an apprenticing guide and woke up in the middle of the night with a lot of pain. Ended up that um, the co-guide was a retired urologist. I'd had no history of kidney stones, and
Mm.
I'm trying to compress this story. I ended up being very sick and in pain all night, and he was like, "Okay, we should take you to the hospital." Um,
Wow.
I stayed out there for a while until my fever got very high, and then I kind of half crawled, half walked. Luckily, we were only a mile from our cars were only a mile from the base camp, and so ended up in the hospital in Colorado, and I had a kidney stone that couldn't pass. So I was about to go into septic shock, and
Oh my
and
goodness.
the doctor in the hospital said if you had stayed out there for 24 more hours, you would have been dead.
Wow.
And so this was my apprenticeship. I tend to take these apprenticeships very seriously, apparently, and had to have the embodied experience of what it is um, to go through these things. So when I'm in the hospital, I'm about to be injected with dye so that they could see what was going on. And in that moment, I could really feel the immensity of that death lodge ceremony.
Mm.
Because in the death ceremony, if you remember, it's really a way of sort of completing undone things from our past, giving thanks to people that need to be given thanks to, apologizing, hearing
Hmm.
love, whatever it. So it's preparing yourself to die, hopefully not in the physical when we're out there on the vision quest. So
Metaphorical death.
uh,
Yes.
yes, metaphorical death underscore. But so I apparently take that very seriously. So in that moment, the tech is about to inject dye, and he said, "I need to tell you that some people have a reaction to this, and it's possible you could die from being injected with dye.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
also crazy metaphor, to being injected with dye." But in that moment, I felt so clear, and I know it was because of doing that ceremony. I was like, "Okay, I'm cleared for takeoff," is what it felt like. It's like, if
Mm.
I'm gonna die right now, I'm gonna die, and I have done the work that I needed to do in order to feel like, if this is my time, I can go right now.
Wow.
I've done what I needed to do. So it was a powerful sort of punctuation mark on the power of those ceremonies, and luckily, obviously, I'm still here, but, time and time, I feel like this journey has been I it became so clear to me in this cancer journey that it is my soul path because of the
Mm.
way in which synchronistic things happened. I felt attended. The dream maker was fueling me with dreams. The ceremonies were supporting, and
Yeah.
I mean, that
Well,
was
you
well
mean,
before
and you're
cancer,
meaning
but it
the cancer itself was your path and
and
purposeful. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah, somehow that
what,
the other journeys, the other health journeys were somehow part of the soul path.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I have no doubt about that and how everything's connected somehow. Right. Um, what would you say from this cancer journey, how has that affected your outlook, relationship with grief, with death, with, you know,
Mm,
life and love? So
yeah.
many, so many angles, I guess, because I'm sure it affected all of those. Whatever
Yeah.
feels
Well,
comfortable or first comes to you.
okay. Yeah, because it affected all of those for sure. I
Yeah.
learned so much and am learning. It's not like it's over and done with,
Right.
but I continue to learn so much about, for many years before I did the chemo year, I was really focused on befriending death and grief and supporting others in having that experience as well because
Mm.
we're all terminally ill, we're all going to die. Everything around us,
From the first breath,
that
we're
we love.
all, yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it felt really important to be offer those kinds of experiences. And now I feel like I'm more apprenticing to life and to
Mm.
joy, and realizing that I need that to be really, present in my life. And of course, it's both the loss and the love, as you know by the title of this podcast. But isn't that the life journey? Is to love the life we have and to know that we're mortal and that we will lose it. And so, how can
Hmm.
I hold both and feel it all? The grief is so important, and it's absolutely connected to our love of
Hmm.
why we grieve. According to Martin Prechtel, he's like, we grieve because we love. That is
Mm.
exactly why we do that. So yeah, there's just been so many gifts in this path. As much as I have hated it, as much as I went into the hell realms and the underworld in ways that I had never experienced before.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing about that. Um, I think the darkest part of the chemo journey was after the fifth chemo. The fifth infusion. I went into a place where I couldn't love. I
Mm.
couldn't see beauty. I remember I was sitting on my back deck and I was just like, what the hell is the purpose? I couldn't
Mm.
find purpose. I couldn't find a reason for living. I couldn't see the beauty around me. And I was like, whoa, this is not a place that I've ever known before. And luckily, then I had that dream about being initiated
Wow.
and I began the ascent back out.
Yeah.
That and I really have quite clearly noticed that I'm different. I don't know how to put words around it, but I'm like, "Oh, I'm not the same person I was before." So,
Well, yeah, I am sure. That is without a doubt. I mean, it sounds like, having gone to such a deep place of that darkness, has it since, as you're coming back and being initiated back into life and joy and love, allowed you to feel all of those on a deeper level then?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, and it's not like it's that all the time for either, but
Mhm.
it's very, that opens me to everything. The darkness opened me to more light. It's kind of like they say the envelope, if you feel enough of one, it's gonna expand the other. It's like, okay,
Mm.
I went into a pretty dark, so there's more light available to me actually. And it made me, well, I've had a dream actually of being filled with light just recently.
Mm.
But all of this, I wanna say this also because of your title, is like all of this brought me back to something that happened on a psilocybin journey, uh, just 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and in that journey, I didn't have a visual of them, but there was some ancient, felt like indigenous ancestral guides that were saying, "Just stay connected.
Mm.
Just stay connected," as if guiding me, in a meditation. They go, "No," then they go, "No, no, come back." And this was the symbol of the hand they just kept saying, "Just stay connected." And as I reflect on that now, actually brings tears to my eyes. It's like,
Mm.
that is what I feel like this whole journey, this whole life has been about. It's like, can I just stay connected to something that is greater, to some
Mm.
beautiful
Yes.
mystery? And when it's fucked up and terrible and horrible feeling and I'm terrified, it's like, can I come back to staying connected to something greater?
Mm. Well,
So
that brings tears to my
that's why
eyes
I do
too.
work.
That's why you do this work. To stay connected to others, to stay connected to the earth, to the universe, to the mystery. That's why I do this podcast too. So it's all just trying to find
Exactly. Exactly.
ways to help everyone stay connected on a deeper way. So wow, thank you for sharing that story right there and that experience.
Yeah. And Scott, on that note that you just said, you expanded it also to why you're doing what you're doing in the community piece. And boy, that too. So part of the cancer journey, I did a Caring Bridge page and ended up
Mm.
that I wrote often, as you know, to keep people updated on what was, and so many people read this. I was like looking at these numbers. I'm like, who are these people? And and what I learned from others in the cancer world was that when you have community support, it actually can help you to heal from a
Yes.
life-threatening disease or any, probably any kind of wounding or disease or illness. And doing that, pulling in the community through my writing has really, I have no doubt that that community that surrounded me has been a part of my healing. And you and Tiffany are, right there, centerfold with in that place of just, it is, it's remarkable what kind of healing can happen as a result of that. And I really see that you're doing that here too with
Mm.
this and your intentions behind this.
Thank you, Jade.
So important,
Thank
especially
you.
when it's authentic, honest, raw community sharing, right? Love, loss, and hallucinations, baby.
That's what we're about here. um, and I love, for those who aren't watching this, like the image of from the psilocybin journey of this hand sort of doing this, like being held vertically and just to stay connected. Um, that's gonna stay with me as well, I think, as far as like if I'm ever through needing an image to like feel connected in a darker time or that sort of thing, like I'll be like, "Ah, the hand, yes." So thank you for that. And as we're, kind of getting down towards the end of the hour here, I want to just touch base on one, loop back to grief one more time, because our culture doesn't do that well. Even on your website, you have written grief has rarely been welcomed in our culture and most avoid it like the plague. And I certainly did that before going on the Vision Quest, looping back to our Vision Quest together. And I distinctly remember like you giving the advice of allow the grief to come, like dive into the grief. And what is of value there for us? I mean, I know I've done it, but I'd love to hear from you and your wisdom around it.
Yeah, what is of value there with grief? Looping back to what I said previously, I think part of what's, it's a bit esoteric, but part of what's of value is that um, our tears show that we love and that we
Mm,
care, whether it's for another person or an animal or the planet itself. It's like the tears that come as a result of the things that are going on planetarily, the loss of species, the things that are going on in our human world, that I feel like it heals something greater than we can express in other ways. There's something so intimate and so vulnerable, and it's an expression of our love by allowing the tears to fall. And um, yeah, so I think the esoteric part is that I feel like maybe the healing of being willing to show our tears and our care goes beyond the human world and even beyond the living human world,
mm,
maybe ancestral realms. There's so much knowledge now coming forth about ancestral trauma and intergenerational trauma. And sometimes what happens is that if the grief and the tears are stopped, sometimes for really good reason, that there's something lacking in the ability to heal. So I believe that it's something that offers great healing to our own bodies, to our nervous systems, and to
mhm.
the greater whole. And, it's hard to talk about because we can't necessarily know this, but
Yeah.
I know my body feels such relief when I can release the tears. And so I feel like our bodies know something. And if we can trust what our bodies know, then we might allow that rather than putting up the gates, which is most of us have been taught that from, at least in my
Yeah.
generation,
Yeah.
don't cry, don't cry. It's like,
Yep.
no,
Boys don't cry.
this,
Don't cry. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
yeah, even, sort of reflecting that on the Vision Quest, it wasn't until like I gave myself permission to really just break down and be a big crying mess and let all that out that I've been trying to hold in that, I think I was able to get to a deeper recognition of how things, both gifts that I had to bring forth, as well as how I needed to change. It wasn't until after the grief that I was able to realize all that. Yeah.
wow, I love that.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So you have the answer for that question too, sounds like, right
mm,
in that story, It's like, wow,
absolutely.
it really
Yeah.
is and shows us the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Mm. Well, as I said, kind of closing down the hour here. And for those of you who probably don't know, we've had a bunch of technical difficulties during this podcast, and I'm going to edit them all out. But whew, we
We
made
hope
it,
you
didn't we,
don't know.
Jade? Yeah, we hope you didn't know. And we made it, Jade.
That's
But
right.
we're going to end with these three little speed round questions. And well, before we do that, tell us, do you have any programs that people might be interested in, and where might they find out about them? And we'll, of course, include links in the show
Yeah,
notes as well.
thank you, yeah. Well, right now, what's gonna happen next year is a complete mystery, but because it's still evolving, but there are some new and exciting things that are, coming in on the tide that I'm considering. And so the best place to find out more is my website, which is It's Our Nature, no apostrophe, itsournature.net.
Okay.
So,
And you can sign up for her newsletter there, which is also a great way to stay up to date on programs that she is rolling out. And I might be a little biased, but I highly recommend doing a program with Jade. You will realize things, see things, be changed in such a beautiful, positive, loving way. So, um,
thanks.
you are
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for all the mentoring that you have given me over the years. And getting a little teary eyed. Indeed.
Something on the tears, baby.
Yeah, heavy on the tears. I love it. So yes, last three questions. First one, what is something we haven't touched on yet that you've learned from a dream, or from a mistake on how you thought something was going to play out, or from an actual hallucination, whether that's plant medicine induced or otherwise?
Oh, brother, you expect me to have a fast answer to that?
Semi fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little flip-flop on your question
Oh,
because
I like it.
that ques that question around hallucinations is like, I think what I am learning right now in my life is that so much of what we're fed about culture and what's important in life is a hallucination,
Mm,
actually. And, I'm I'm standing up for not believing those hallucinations that
mm,
are soul deadening and, being a proponent for, um, looking into the face of mystery and
mm.
wild nature for
Would you be
all
able to
that.
name one of those soul deadening hallucinations?
Oh, like, well, it takes me back to your first question. It's like I
Mm,
decided early on when I was like in my 30s, I was like, I will never have a job that my heart can't be completely behind.
mm,
And I think that we're taught that you should just get a job and carry on, and that's the way to live the life. And it's all about, for some people making money, and that's the most important thing, rather than having it be a hopefully still lucrative, but something of the heart and soul that we'd give our lives to. And
yeah.
so,
Starting there and making it work from the heart and soul versus, yeah. Um,
yeah.
yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah. Hopefully more people can be inspired by hearing that and pursue that.
Mm.
Um, Second question. Again, naming something we haven't touched on yet. What is something you have lost in the last year? and this could make you happy or sad.
Uh, I lost my hair.
Not cutting your hair, that's
Lost
easy.
pretty much all of my hair. Now it's short. It used to be very
Yeah,
long.
yep,
And
yep.
you know what's no, Scott, I feel like, when you say we could be happy or sad, I was surprised at how devastating it was to lose all my hair.
Mm.
And now I feel like by letting that whatever identity I had attached to having long, I called it blonde, I guess it was gray, the hair, whatever identity I had placed there is now gone, and it's so
Mm.
freeing. It makes me really happy. So it's both. It's like my illusion kept me in sadness and the trauma of having my head shaved, and now it's nothing but a gift. So
Well, I was wrong. That is an awesome answer, and I love it. And last but not
true.
least, what are you loving right now?
I'm loving that I'm alive and I feel good and I'm healthy and that I'm getting to have this conversation with you and that I'm
Mm,
getting to sort of recreate or rebirth myself into the world and into my work and be even more true to who I am now,
mm.
and pretty great. I'm grateful
Well,
to cancer. It's remade me.
wow. Well, I love all of that you are loving as well. So thank you for spending this. Well, it's only going to be an hour on the podcast, but it was an hour plus for us.
Love it.
And yeah, thank you so much, Jade. And again, I highly encourage you all to go check out her programs and sign up for her newsletter and get out in nature.
Yeah, baby. Great. Thank you so much. You're
You're welcome.
awesome.
Thanks, Jade. And a big thanks to all of you out there who chose to spend your time listening to this episode. I really want to grow this community together. You can help in a couple small, quick ways to do that. You can click that follow button, you can leave a comment down below, and most importantly, if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or friends or family members who you think might also want to hear it. Together, hopefully, we can make this world just a little better place.